Are women victims?
No.
Okay. Josh and I actually just had a conversation about it, and we paused it because we thought this would actually be kind of a cool video.
Yeah, like a long form one,
yeah.
which we were going to be doing weekly on the channel. We'll have at least one more long form somewhere. Right?
Yeah, before
Certainly.
something awful happens.
Yeah.
But I think it kind of goes into a good question of what does it mean to be a victim?
Right.
I think we should probably cover the definition of a victim first. So the Merriam-Webster definition, there's 4 of them. A person who has been attacked, injured, robbed, or killed by someone. A person who is cheated or fooled by someone else. Someone or something is harmed by an unpleasant event, such as an illness or accident. And then 4, a person or an animal that is offered as a gift to a god in a religious ritual.
When we were Googling it, it turns out the victim, that word comes from something that would be sacrificed. That would be a victim, right? So that I think the 4th one is just like to cover their bases.
I think
historically.
So. I think so. I know, like, no matter what we come to, I know you had made a video where I really liked how you laid it out, where the true victim of an abortion is the child in the womb.
Correct.
Right? Like that one, it almost ticks off almost every box, right? Like somebody who is attacked, injured, cheated. I would say like they're cheated of life. You could make that argument. Harmed by an unpleasant event. You could make the argument that it was an offer of some sort, right?
Yeah,
like
if
in the
it's child
sense of
sacrifice,
like, yes, child sacrifice, in the sense of that you're giving up your child to pursue like a career.
That would actually, because if you affirm abortion as child sacrifice, the one who is sacrificed is the victim. That would also play into the historical context of the word victim, right?
Yep. So I would go into that. The only thing I think there's a conversation we had is women are not victims. So are women of abortions victims? I don't know how I'd say it, because I guess I would say that I would feel comfortable saying that some women are cheated or fooled by someone else.
Right. Well, and I think this is like the fundamental difference between the abolitionist platform. I should have done that on this side since I'm the abolitionist in the pro-life platform, right? And how if women are victims, then they cannot be guilty. They cannot be punished. We cannot give them what they are owed. But if they are not victims, then obviously they would be partaking in this murder and this child sacrifice, and they would need to be punished for their actions, right? Because there really is no middle ground, right? When it comes to a victim, it would be immoral to punish a victim for a crime, right? Like if a man assaults a girl or a woman, well, it would be wrong to be like, well, what were you wearing? Do we need to punish her for her involvement in her own assault, right? So if women are being, like, if abortion is affecting the woman, if they're a victim of abortion, then it would be wrong to punish them for something they're a victim of, right? And I think that's like the fundamental difference between the two outlooks, right?
Yeah, I guess it would go into I wonder if deceived would fit that definition too, because like for instance, like Eve was deceived when she ate the apple, but still received punishment.
Correct.
So that's because she knew that it was wrong, but she still believed the serpent.
Correct.
Right? So I would almost say like the same thing could be in some instances. However, I would like to shift this into kind of a world where abortion would be illegal. If abortion is illegal, like we have that in law, then anybody else who says, no, it's fine, would be going against the already established code that would be there. So claiming that you were fooled or cheated could technically be true, right? Because Eve was deceived, right? However, I don't think that would be free
with the
from
law
punishment.
In place.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think they could say I was fooled or because if the law is in place, then the law will then teach them you cannot do this because it's against the law, right? Like people cannot be like ignorance of the law does not make you innocent of the law, right?
No, and that's what I was going back to.
Yeah, there's a seatbelt law, so I can't tell the cop, well, I didn't know that was a law. It's like, yeah, well, it is a law, so it doesn't matter. So I think that would kind of shoot apart the they were fooled or they were misled into it, right?
Well, I guess that's why I would like to shift the word into deceived, because I think it is a little bit synonymous. Like you could like fooled, deceived, tricked, all those things. So in the garden, Eve was tricked, fooled, deceived, all those things, but she still received the punishment. And that's because that law was already put into place, that like God said it was wrong.
Yep.
And it was already put into place. So I guess when we're talking about this, we're not talking about like a retroactive bill that would go and punish any woman who had an abortion because they were fooled. I just think right now my heart does break for people who truly buy into the abortion lies. Like, I think there truly are some people out there that don't realize that they killed a human, right? Like, I know we're
No, I don't.
I know we're kind of talking about this before. So a place that I hypothetically work at, there's somebody who is clearly not from America, clearly don't know anything that is really going on, and they're prescribed the abortion pill. And I was just thinking, like, okay, so if somebody is coerced into this, imagine if you're from, I don't know this individual's backstory, but just for this analogy, you weren't raised with an education, and you come to an educated country, and they say, no, like, you're wrong. This isn't a baby. This is, this is a seed. It's not a tree yet. You know, whatever. This is an unbaked cake. All these analogies that they throw at it. So you're not killing a human yet, right? That's what they'll say. So even though that doesn't change the moral sin that happened, right? I would say that's a good way to put it. That no matter if they knew what was happening or didn't know what was happening, there's still a vile act that was committed. Like, it doesn't change the reality of that.
If you were to prescribe this pill to them and you don't explain what it is, and then they just take it and then they end the life of their child, I would say that would be different from giving this and saying, explaining what it is. Our culture is actually okay to do this. Like, I think those are two different things. One would be like way more akin to like roofing a girl, right? Versus telling her that this will knock you out and you should take it, right? So I guess I would need more context on that hypothetical.
Yeah, well, I think, I mean, a lot. I think it's safe to say that, like, a lot of abortionists are pretty left-leaning.
Yeah.
So I think they would use a lot of the same language that, no, this isn't a person. Like, even if they tried giving pushback, like they claimed, like, no, this is going to remove something that's equivalent to a tumor to you. It's just a clump of cells. It's not a person yet because it hasn't reached blank development.
Yeah.
So I think they could easily point it to something like that.
So you would just say that woman is incredibly stupid because she just believed when somebody, like, I know I'm pregnant. Like, if you were to go up to like a literal 3-year-old or a 5-year-old and you say, hey, mommy's pregnant, what does that mean? Well, every 5-year-old is going to answer, that means I have a brother or I have a sister, right? But suddenly, if that person is older and a woman, they don't know what it means to be pregnant, dude. Sorry, I know, they're just really stupid. Okay, like, I don't know if there's a reason that for all of human history in every major culture, women were subjugated as second-class citizens because they're really stupid. Okay, that's just what it is. Like, there's a reason in Scripture they're called lesser vessels. Okay, that's what Scripture says about women. They're really stupid. Yeah. Look up. I can find the verse for you later, or I'll put it on the screen for you guys.
I guess I wouldn't say that's Scripture. They degrade women as lesser than.
They're lesser vessels, man. They're stupid as hell. Like, they can't be held accountable. They don't know they're pregnant. They just don't. Again, little babies.
You're playing like a devil's advocate right now.
I'm playing the pro-lifer, by the way. This is
really concerned.
No, I put on my pro-life hat to be like, no, women are really stupid, right? And I don't know if you watched the Kirk video I sent you, but Charlie Kirk himself affirmed women are just too stupid. They don't know what abortion is. They're not informed. And when the guy pushed him and said, here are statistics that show, no, the women, even if they've had ultrasounds, they continue with the abortion. And he says, well, I don't really know about all those stats. Like, but my intuition says women are just not knowing what they're doing.
Regardless of all those stats, I don't think women are given informed consent when they get an abortion. I don't think they quite understand what they are doing in most cases. I think that the abortionist is the one doing the murdering, and in some case, the woman knows what she's doing. In many other cases, she's not given informed consent. Women, many of the times, who have no idea what they're doing, in vulnerable positions.
Murderers.
I actually think they are victims. We just disagree.
Okay, so what evidence could persuade you?
Well, nothing that you cited, but just anecdotally, when anecdotally, which does form opinion, and I'd have to find more data. I know women that I've met that have gotten abortions almost always have a second or third party assisting, subsidizing, or notifying them in doing that.
So again, in his heart, Charlie felt women are just too stupid. Because again, that is the pro-life movement. That's what they push. Women are just dumb. And it's not pro-choicers. That's the other thing. It's not the pro-choicers coming out saying, well, women don't even know what abortion is, right? That's not what they say. That the only people that say women are too stupid to know what they're doing are the pro-lifers, right? Or the pro-life movement that pushes this narrative that all these women are walking around drooling, pregnant, don't even know what's going on in there, man. And then they go in and a doctor grabs them and he sticks them and they pull the baby out. And all these women are just like, what happened to it? Which isn't the case. Again, if you were to talk to anybody who does advocacy at abortion mills, none of those women going in there are confused. None of them going in there are like, I don't know what to do. I got a tummy ache, I guess, right? That doesn't exist. These women know that they're pregnant. They know they're pregnant with a child or a baby or a clump of cells. Again, if they don't want, the only reason, and we see this in the comment sections with people who are like, well, this isn't actually a baby, it's a clump of cells. Those people are just lying. They're lying, and that's why they pivot. Anytime you push them on it, they pivot to something else, and they pivot. They don't actually believe it. They know that there's a child inside them. They know that there's a baby human inside of them, but they still act on it. Again, I mean, if you want to call them stupid, again, there is a reason that they were subjugated by all successful societies, put them underneath and said, sorry, you're not. Why did Paul say they can't speak in church? They're just really stupid, man. I'm sorry. Listen, I'm going to put my abolitionist hat on. Okay.
I'm glad we got abolitionist Josh back. Said pro-life. No, I guess I would. So how would you frame Eve then? Would you say that she was stupid and that she fell for the old serpent trick?
Well, that's a really big wormhole that if we want to get into, and maybe rabbit hole would be the better one, right? Because did Eve, and again, maybe we're digging into where we shouldn't, but Eve either sinned before the fall or Adam sinned before the fall. But for some reason, Eve adds to God's law and says, I cannot eat or touch of the plant, when the only restriction was you may not eat of this plant or eat of the fruit of the plant, right? And fruit of the tree. And so she, in some way, added to that and said, I can't touch her. And then when she touched it, she realized, oh, I can touch it and I didn't die. I can eat it, I won't die, right? And so the serpent, again, whether she was stupid or misled, it's like, well, again, there's so much that goes into that. I would, in that particular case, I would say because she had misled herself, or Adam lied to her. We're not sure. Scripture doesn't define what happened, right? As soon as she realized, when I touched this and I didn't die, well, then I can eat it and I didn't die. So was she stupid when she touched the fruit? Because God didn't say don't touch the fruit.
Well, I guess I would point to deceived as being bought into a lie. So believing something that isn't true, even though that you have, I'd say for like maybe abortion, and in the case of Eve, she bought into a lie that she had the foundation and the logic, the tools to say that no, this is a lie. But for multiple reasons, they bought into that lie. They chose it. And I think that's why that doesn't make them free from sin or free from like the weight of what happened. Yep. Like they still need forgiveness from it. I guess you could maybe tie that into the law of like, isn't there one about like some people wouldn't be held to that standard if they weren't aware of it?
Yeah. Is it Romans where he talks about like there was sin in the world between Noah and Moses, but the law was not in there, so there was sin, but there was the law. Or even Paul talks about how like he was made aware of his sin from the law, right? The law was the thing that exposed him to the sin.
So, I mean, you could go into an argument there, but I guess for this part, I guess I would like to maybe just stick to the one part for now and maybe tackle the other one later, just because I think that would branch off into a bigger conversation. That would be a little out of the way. But I guess that's the framework I would use. That I think a lot of women are probably deceived. They're bought into a lie that's it's so well packaged. Like, it's so well packaged. You know what I mean? Like, it's really, really bad. And it doesn't cover up how horrible it is. But
I'm just looking at the camera. I'm going to put something on screen.
Oh.
Yeah.
But I think the gymnastics that some of them go through, I mean, there's some arguments where they're really easy to buy if you don't know the arguments that go against it. Mm-hmm. Like consciousness, I would say, or like bodily autonomy. I mean, that one I think is really problematic, but like, consciousness is one where if somebody truly believed that's when personhood started, that's really, really flawed. But if they haven't thought into that, I could see how they maybe even
thought into it because they're stupid. Again, the pro-life movement preaches women are just too damn stupid. That's what it comes down to. They haven't thought about body autonomy. Women, they don't think about these things. So they're just walking around, again, drooling, licking windows, right? Now, if it wasn't for us, these women would all go extinct, dude.
Well,
like
I don't know
would.
if I'm even painting it with that narrow of a brush, because I would even say like that a lot of men would fall under that too. Like I know, I don't know if this is jumping the gun too much, but I know in your notes you had in there like the men that would like
correct
encourage their wives to get an abortion, or their girlfriend or sister in case of incest. Yep.
Why'd you look at me when you?
Just had a theory, those eyes are a little too far apart from me. I'm sorry.
I think the video's over. But yeah, no, like unironically, and those were beliefs that I did hold up until last year when I became an abolitionist, is that yes, women are actually too stupid to know what abortion is. Like you said, well, there's a lot of dumb men out there who don't know what abortion is either. So is it really just women, or is it both men and women? Well, again, I don't think we are giving enough credit to women who grow life inside of them to know that they are growing life. Again, if you ask a child, what does it mean that mommy's pregnant? What does that mean to you, right? Most children will know mommy has my brother and my sister in her. Like, again, and it's as fundamental, like, it's in like media as well. Like, everybody knows killing a pregnant woman. Like, did you ever play the Last of Us games? Mm-mm. Well, spoiler for The Last of Us 2, it's bad. Don't worry about playing it. But there's this big thing where a pregnant woman gets killed, and it becomes such a huge deal, and then another pregnant woman is threatened. It's like, please don't kill her, she's pregnant, right? And it's like, why are we making such a big deal over her being pregnant? These dumb women don't even know what pregnancy is. Like, how is Ellie, don't you understand this? Or maybe it was the other chick. But like, no, again, I just can't get behind the idea that women are like too stupid. Because again, the other big thing is it's not that they're stupid. No, they're just misinformed. They're just being lied to, and they're believing this lie, right? But I don't believe you can be misinformed on something as like fundamental as childbearing, and like, I don't think that exists. I don't think there are people that don't actually know, right? I think they are lying, and I know it's more like it means that they have more malice in them than like stupidity. And generally, I try to lean towards people are stupid over their evil, right? But like, yeah, that's why they pivot. That's why they say all that nonsense, is because they are just lying about it, right? And to be clear, my mom was an L&D nurse for like 20 years, right? I was homeschooled. Before she was a nurse, she homeschooled me, right? She homeschooled me and my 5 other siblings. My mom is not a stupid woman. Women, like, I would venture to say that most women are smarter than me, right? Like, I'm a really dumb idiot.
Much, yeah.
But yeah, so unlike the pro-life movement, I actually don't think that women are stupid. I think women know what they're doing. I think they're aware of what they're doing. Now, again, will they lie? Will they say, this is just a clump of cells? Sure. But again, they're not having, like, when they have a gender reveal party, they're not doing it for a fetus. They're not, oh, I'm with fetus right now. No, I'm with child. I'm with baby. Like, all of, again, it is, again, as much as they push this narrative, the pro-choice movement pushes a narrative that it's not actually a life and you're free to do what you're willing to do. That is as much as the pro-life movement pushes. Women are just simple. They just don't understand what they're talking about, right? And I think that is the big thing. And the reason they push women are stupid is because if you say women know what they're doing and they're doing it anyways, then you have to say, well, if somebody is guilty of murder, then they have to be punished. And the pro-life movement is scared of admitting women can be punished because there's a lot of women with a lot of money and a lot of power, a lot of sway that push. So if the pro-life movement was to get behind this idea that women need to be held accountable for the murder that they've done, suddenly you would have all these women who are pro-lifers. They would actually come out of their, take the mask off and become pro-choice. Again, we've even witnessed this with, is it 60% of pro-choicers give the rape exception? You think those 60% that are pro-lifers that give the rape exception, as soon as you say we're going to punish women, all those people flee the pro-life movement. All these organizations lose their money. Their support dwindles to nothing, right? So they have to maintain women are stupid.
And I think it's also somewhat deeply destructive if we're trying to make the country more pro-life, to like your opening argument being like, we want to go lock women up in jail. Well, and just to be clear, your position does turn off like millions of people just from your opening salvo. That makes us seem like insanely unreasonable as if we're like all of a sudden not going to lock up women many of the times who have no idea what they're doing in vulnerable positions. You know, she's going to go to jail if she gets an abortion. Do you think that's going to make the country more pro-life? Your perspective?
I do think a lot of people who say that are consistent in that belief, as in like a lot of people who hold that belief also shy away from the death penalty. Right, so that's at least what I've seen.
Yeah, Catholics, but
yeah, the Catholics, and I think there is a heart behind it that I respect, but the logic behind it I see is pretty flawed. So I would say that I know I want to do a whole like video on this. I don't even think it would be a flesh it out because I think we would probably agree. But like if like I think the death penalty is just. So like if abortion is taking an innocent human life, then the murder penalty would apply to that.
Correct.
So it'd just be anybody who commits murder, regardless of your gender or status, your title, mother, father, whatever would fall into the same thing. I guess to link back though, I would say I wouldn't paint it with the brush that they're too stupid. I would paint it with the same brush as Eve was painted with, where you could buy into them being deceived. I would like to take a second to acknowledge we've like firsthand seen like people respond to our videos or like just people on the internet saying like, no, I know it's a person, I know it's a human, I'm gonna kill it. And all those people that say, well, women don't actually they don't actually celebrate abortions. Some of them do. And I think that's when you get into the really, really dark side that is really like growing, I would say. It's so, a lot bigger than people would care to acknowledge. But
so the week that my nephew was born to my extremely leftist sister, we flew out. She lived in California, shock, and we flew out and we visited her for her newborn, right? My mother and I. And while we were there, my sister, who's a leftist, we don't ever talk politics, we don't talk religion. It's just it's not worth it. We started talking abortion because I'm like, you got a newborn. Like I almost just said her name. I'm like, sister, you got a newborn. You're like you put this together, right? Like you're understanding. And she at that point did admit to me, I understand that it's life at conception, but the mother's rights come first. And it's just like there's no more arguing. And that's what you were saying. There are people that are like, yeah, I understand it's life, but I matter more. That's it. That's where it comes down to, right? And so there are people like that. And I think if they were to be honest, I think basically everybody who's pro-abortion would just state that. But they know how selfish that sounds. They know how like gross that is to be like, well, I matter more than the little one, so I come first. But again, I think if they were to be honest, that's what they would say. They can't say that, so then they'll go with body autonomy. Well, like they can't breathe. They can't. They add all these extras on top.
Well, no, this is one thing I was thinking of. Somebody was pushing me and saying that like you have biasy in this. Like you have a lot of biasy in this, and I like to think I have biasy towards the other side because abortion is so dark and absolutely evil that I don't want to believe it's happening at this rate. So if anything, I would love to believe that there's not over 1 million babies per year being slaughtered. But if I follow the logic, that's where it leads me. So if I'm biased towards anything, like I don't want to believe this. So people say like you're just looking for it. Like no, I don't see that being like a fitting brush to paint me with.
I don't know if you'll remember this, but I was doing the video about like the Gazan war being, awful and 70,000 dead, but that's less than just 1 month. And I remember reading it off, and I'm like, is that right? And I looked at you, and you're like, yeah, it's like 1 million a year. I'm like, wait, so like even in time, as I was writing it out, and I edited my script, and I pre-proofed, and I got everything ready, and even reading it out in real time, I'm like, it can't be 1 million a year. In just America, there's no, can you, and it's like, that is the number. It's horrific. It's horrifying, right?
I guess it's a conversation worth having. Do you think there's some people who just haven't thought it through yet, and just that lie of that piece, not thinking that this is actually happening is so enticing that they would rather choose that than the actual like following the logic and digging deeper because they think, well, all the bands I listen to support this. All like the politics I listen to support this. Ellen DeGeneres. I love Ellen DeGeneres. I don't.
Not anymore. No, you know what she got up to?
No, but I guess
she was canceled hard, brother. Bad things. Yeah, Ellen. Yeah, Ellen is not cool anymore.
But no, like all these other things. Like I think a lot of like parents or just believing what they think without going too deep into it. I guess that's what I would maybe start painting it with the they were deceived, but that doesn't mean that they're free from the moral part of it.
Yeah. So one of the things that Charlie had brought up in that clip, that if women were shown ultrasounds of their babies, he doesn't believe that they would, he didn't believe that they would go through with their abortions. Do you agree with that or not? What would you say?
I know there are a lot of women. I know you have the exact statistics. I'm really not trying to like.
No, yeah. You're playing to play full.
I would like
you can't,
to. I would
you just
like
got
to
a picture of Charlie, so you can't.
would,
I'm happy it's not hanging up because I'd feel really bad if he's like watching over our shoulder.
So yeah, before I answer, I'm a huge Charlie fan, but I think that's one area that I'm really comfortable with disagreeing with people on tertiary things.
Yep.
I think that would go into
Child
the
sacrifice.
Yeah, where even if that was said, I'm very comfortable disagreeing with somebody on that and still standing with them on the rest of it. But I guess I would go into like if abortion was made illegal, I don't know if you probably could make the same argument with deceived, but not victim.
That they would still be deceived by the culture, even with the law stating if you do this.
I think maybe a better way is that they would be left with even less of an exception.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that, where the law does tutor people, right? And so, like, again, you don't actually get to say, well, I didn't know what the speed limit was. It's like, it's 55 on like every major highway outside of South Dakota, right? Like, that's just the way it works. I did write this down. You were in the middle and I didn't want to say it, but it is funny that the standard of, well, you just want to kill women, you're going to murder women, right? It's like, well, again, it's equal protection. So like in Minnesota, we don't have the death penalty. So I would like that to change. But right now, if we were to pass a bill of abolition, it would just be like life in prison. I assume life in prison is the worst you get for murder in Minnesota. I'm not sure off the top of my head, but that is the thing. So you don't even have to say, well, we're going to execute these women. You could just say, well, I want them to face life in prison, right? But again, pro-lifers won't even go that far, right? The pro-life organizations, they won't even go so far to say we're going to lock these. No, they're women. The women are victims. They don't deserve. We're not going to punish them. The best you'll get is some people in a debate. They'll be like, well, yeah, at some point we'll do this. At some point we will start punishing these women. When the culture changes and women are accepting of what abortion is, at that point we'll begin pushing laws. But kind of like you and I were saying, how does the culture change? Like if you put the law in place, that will change the culture. People will be like, wow, if I do this, bad thing happens to me, I won't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Like that's how culture changes, right?
I think that's one thing that we were kind of talking about earlier is before calling myself an abolitionist, I didn't read the Norman Statement. I want to do a whole video on that because I think we could probably talk a lot about that just because there's, I think we were kind of talking about, it's interesting because majority of the movements don't have like statement,
correct,
right, to back it, and I actually do think that's really important. I do think I don't know if I want to say that there's so many things in the abolitionist statement, the Norman abolitionist statement, that some of it seems a little secondary to me, that like I would still stand with somebody and say that we're on the like completely on the same side, but we disagree on bam, bam, bam. But people can make the argument against that. And I would listen, but I would say one thing that shocked me is that one is in the Norman abolitionist statement, if I remember right. The women are not victims. Yeah, I know that was one of the things where I was reading it, and I'm like, I don't know if I quite believe. So I would say I would definitely just probably call myself anti-abortion. The more I was thinking about, because I'm like, what would be a fitting title? And then I kind of just remember like, I don't know why I'm caring so much about a title.
That's for a year. Well, that was the thing. So I was pro-life up until, I don't even know, my early 20s. And then my Catholic friend was like, well, you can't be pro-life if you support the death penalty. And I'm like, well, yeah, but like there are people that need to be taken out, right? So I was like, okay, fine, I'm anti-abortion. So I was anti-abortion for most of my like adulthood up until last year, and then it turned out that I wasn't even like anti-abortion. I would have been even closer to incrementalist, right? Because I'm like, well, yeah, I believe these things. Other than the one thing that I did believe is I did assume the second victim narrative, right? I was like, when women are too stupid, they don't know what abortion is, they're being lied to, right? So this is something that I affirmed up until a year ago, and then like that was the thing, the big push to get me over the edge was, women are not victims. You can't affirm, and we'll get to it because there's like an asterisk to are women victims or not, right?
Well, I was kind of thinking that too, and I guess it kind of depends. I guess from my standpoint, obviously this is different than Josh's, but when somebody says that a woman is a victim when it comes to abortion, I guess I would like to know which part of like that victim definition that they're using, because obviously they're not. I mean, I guess you could kind of say that they're harmed, but they're willingly harmed, so that you wouldn't even say that. So they're not like attacked, I guess, is another thing that they kind of paint out. Like women are not attacked under abortion. They're not a couple other things, but I would say that deceived.
Unless they're really stupid.
Could be.
And then they're being attacked. They don't even know. Like, again, they're just wandering around, baby in their belly, and these doctors, like, grab them.
I guess if I were to say, are women victims? I would say no, just because that paints such a huge umbrella. I would shift it towards some women are deceived. That's, I guess, where I would stand, where I would believe that some women are deceived.
Yeah.
Same as a lot of men are deceived who agree with them.
Right.
And I think that's something that we just don't completely see eye to eye on, but I don't want.
Well,
I don't
at the
want
end, I'll give my actual.
like, a ton of common ground that we have.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah. Well, again, and I think when I give my full like evaluation of it, I think you and I are going to be like basically. But you just said that men would be also not informed, right? So the issue when you label that women, and you referenced this earlier, women are victims. They don't know. They're misinformed. They're deceived. Whatever wordage you want to use. Well, is a man who forces an abortion on a woman deceived? He doesn't know it. He doesn't know it's a baby. He just wants her not to be pregnant anymore. I know that's my kid in there or whatever, but I just don't want her to. I don't want her to give birth, so I'm going to force or coerce her or force an abortion. Well, is he a victim? He has to be a victim, right?
I'll say that would put him in some form of the attacker.
Well,
I don't know. How
so if he is an attacker when he gives poison pills to the woman he's assaulted and makes her kill her offspring, but the woman is not when she willingly takes the poison pills to kill the offspring inside of her. You can't have it both ways. It's either he is the victim just like her, but I mean an evil victim, right? He's committed an atrocity. He's a rapist or whatever. Or we don't even have to go to assault. We could just say a dad who doesn't like who his daughter hooked up with, and the dad cares for his daughter. He knows, well, listen, if you are linked to that man for the next 20 years. My mother was actually told to get an abortion. My eldest sister, the leftist, my mom, when she was pregnant with her, she was 17. My dad was 18, right? They were not married. And she was pulled into the school by the counselor. The counselor said, look at this dude over here. He sucks. He's not going anywhere. Mom, my mom, he didn't call her mom. He called her by her name, but I'm not going to say her name. He said, Mom, you have school ready for you. You have, you're going to go places. You're smart. You're pretty. You've got everything going for you. This loser has nothing going for him. And they drove her to Planned Parenthood to end the pregnancy. And then she put up and said no, right? So again, she was under coercion. She was under pressure to do it. Were those people that were pressuring her to do it, were they also victims? And again, it's like, no, of course they're not victims. They're the ones who are doing this, not out of malice, just because it's better for the child, or better for the mother, right? Mm-hmm. But again, they're not victims. They're like, just the same way that if my mom had been, in the bathroom herself and taken the pills herself, or seeked an abortion, went to a mill or something, on her own, with no coercion, she would not be the victim of that. She would be the aggressor, just like those men were the aggressor, just like my mom was nearly the aggressor, even under that coercion of your life's going to be bad if you do this. Well, again, my mom's not stupid.
I really do like your analogy on the, I don't know if you would call it like roofie or whatever. I don't know. I think I would have to flush out that one. I don't feel like it probably affects my stance, but I do think it's an analogy that I don't quite have an answer to at this point.
Yep.
I do think that there's something to draw from it. I wonder if it would point to a spectrum of somebody without exceptions. Gosh, yeah, I would have to.
Well, can I help you with that?
Yeah.
Because men are smarter than women?
No.
The men are not victims. But these dumb broads, man, they don't even know that they're pregnant. My mom just walking around, baby in her stomach, and these really intelligent men were able to grab her and but yeah, so that's the other issue is that, okay, so men are victims of abortion, women are victims of abortion. So the only one we can actually punish for abortion are the doctors. Well, most abortions aren't performed by doctors. That surgical abortion is not the way that most abortions happen, right? It's pill form. So like, how do you go after the ones who are committing these evil acts if you say that all the men who drug women are not actual, like they're not predators, they're just, I mean, again, they're predators if they assault the woman, but they're not predators to those children. And on the other side, these women are not, they're also victims, right? So you would only have to go after the doctors. But again, pill abortions greatly outnumber surgical abortions.
Yeah. Well, I guess, yeah, because, okay, that mother would definitely be a victim of something if that father gave her the abortion drug. And I think I would paint that to the battery died. I think this is only like a long form exclusive that the battery dies. This has happened more than one time, hasn't it?
Yeah.
At least
luckily we're not like in a heated debate, right?
No,
yeah. So that was the last time it was. Yeah, things were getting.
Right when I was going.
Yeah.
Josh dropped some slurs when the camera's off. Actually, I'm joking. Or we
I'll
actually
do it on
found.
camera. I think I'm scared. I'm an abolitionist. I want to kill women. I hate women.
What was I even freaking talking about?
I don't listen.
Oh yeah, that guy who gave that girl that drug, that she would be a victim of something. I think that would just be a format that would follow whatever it is. Even if I say, hey Josh, have this great drink, and it's actually, carbonated, awfulness or something,
Right.
then you would still be a victim of something.
Correct. Well, that would be the thing. If she is totally unknowing, and it's Rufy's situation where he has given her this med that kills the child inside of her, would she be a victim in that sense of an abortion? Well, again, I would still, that's kind of what my video was about. It was like, well, no, she still wouldn't be the victim of an abortion. The child's the victim of the abortion. She would be a victim of, being drugged or being, the victim, or like her child would have been murdered inside of her. So she would be the victim.
Yeah.
But I don't know about abortion because
that's
again,
a good framework. Yeah, a victim of her child being taken from her.
Because again,
versus an abortion.
If you get like stabbed to death tonight, would your dad be the victim of a stabbing? Like, well, no, he'd be the victim of losing his son unjustly.
Damn it! Yeah, I wish we would have said that in the beginning. People aren't going to stand around for this part.
So the two people.
Yeah,
there.
the two people are. Yeah.
So according to a study, and I think it was from a long time ago, but 85% of women who viewed an ultrasound continued with their abortion. So, viewing that it's an ultrasound doesn't change, or viewing the ultrasound doesn't change women's opinions.
I thought there's one, I can't remember how many. It was like an absurd amount of ultrasounds this nurse had completed. Before you have this abortion, would you like to do this ultrasound? Yep. And out of all of it, it was like one out of every. Man, I can't. If I find it, I'll throw it up here. But it was like a crazy number. Like, I want to say it was, I'm not even going to try quoting it, but it was like that number wouldn't reflect. It was definitely less than 1%.
Yeah.
Said, yes, I would like to go through with the abortion.
Oh, would go through with it?
Yeah.
So I guess I would have to see that because, so this study, and then there was a Guttmacher study as well that showed the overwhelming majority of women who view ultrasounds continue with their abortions. And that's just because women, it doesn't change they know what's going on. They're not stupid. Despite what some people believe, they're not dumb window-licking idiots. They know that it's a baby and they know that they need to get rid of this thing because it's going to cost them, whatever it is, right? And so with that, with this study, it was something like 7% became unsure. It was something along those lines, like 7% of women. But that doesn't, the math is a little crazy. If it's 85 continued with their abortion, 7% became unknowing, maybe there'd be 8% decided not to. I don't know. But again, 7% or 8%, let's say it's 15. Let's say 85 continued with it, 15 didn't. Well, that 15%, 1.5 out of 10 people, think the earth is flat, right? There's a lot of actual window-licking dumb idiots. There's a lot of those people, right?
Flat earthers suck.
I wouldn't go that far, but I would say that they're just deceived. They're just deceived. They're not stupid. Assuming that women viewing ultrasounds would change their mind in great numbers is ridiculous. It would not happen. Abortions would continue on the same, well, maybe a little bit decreased rate, but that wouldn't just end abortions. Women are not, they're not stupid. They're not idiots. It's despite what you want to believe, Elijah. And you had mentioned this earlier with your view currently, right? So my view, because I was on the side that women are victims, right? And then all this hits, and it's like, well, yeah, but they are getting a lot of nonsense in popular culture, right? Pop culture tells them abortion is fine, abortion is okay, don't worry about it, it's just a clump of cells. Again, you have the pro-life movement, a lot of money going into saying, no, these women are stupid, you're a stupid idiot, right? Like, it's not actually your fault, right? You have all this going in. So women, I would say I would go so far to say women can be called victims, not of abortion, right? But victims of the culture, but that doesn't make them innocent of their crime, right? So I wouldn't use the word victim, because victim has kind of a baked in they're innocent, right? In the same way that if you were the victim of a stabbing, we just presume that you were innocent, you didn't start the fight, or you didn't stab yourself, right? And so in the same way, it would be unwise to call women victims, because it implies that they are innocent, unless you say they are not innocent victims, right? The idea of a guy coming from a culture where it is okay to marry a 9-year-old, coming to America and marrying a 9-year-old and being like, well, dude, it's just my culture, right? Like, he is the victim of his culture. He's a victim of his religion, and 1,500 years of saying this is okay. He is a victim of that. He did not knowingly do anything wrong, right? But he still did what was evil. He is not an innocent victim. He is a victim of the culture, victim of circumstance, but he is not an innocent victim. In the same way, a woman who murders her offspring is not innocent, even if she is, lied to by a bunch of people. That doesn't excuse her evil, immoral actions. So again, is it wise to say that women are victims? I would say not. Is it technically, could you say a guilty victim? Or I guess a guilty victim would be not an innocent victim. You could technically use that, but again, it just might not be the wisest for this, because this discussion is very important.
No matter what you answer this, I guess I would like to keep this part, because depending on your answer, it could be a good video, but I was a little surprised when you made that argument, because I was under the impression that you don't believe in that morality is instilled into somebody. Would you say that your opinion changed on that, or did I misunderstood you?
No, I think you misunderstood. What led you to that?
Well, that those women would, no matter what, they would know that it's their child inside of them.
Well, I don't think that's a morality thing. I think ducks know that these are my eggs. Like, I don't think that's like a human morality thing. I think that's just being an animal. You understand what is inside. In the same way, again, the mama bear analogy, even though like mama bears eat their young, but like that idea goes through all of I wouldn't say biological life, but for sure throughout all like mammals, right? Or all animals have this in like, they know what their offspring are, right? You can do this with kittens will not even go to their own mother, right? If you have a batch of kittens and you have another cat, like another mom cat, she'll take care of them because, oh, this is a young and I need to take care of this because this is how my species reproduces. So it's not even that women have inherent morality inside of them and they just know what this is right or wrong. It's that they know it's a child, right?
So you say that they have like an instinct in knowledge, but not an instinct in morality.
Instinct and knowledge, sure, but again, morality comes from culture, so they could even have, because we do have a general, it does, 100%. So the people in certain cultures that say it's okay to marry 9-year-olds, you think that they know it's immoral.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't think they do. I think they think it's totally fine. I think there's no problem with me at all, because their morality comes from their culture, right? I'm not talking about objective morality, I'm talking about on the subjective level. Their morality comes from their culture, which is why it's important for us to push our objective morality onto the culture and push it into law so that everybody begins to act in a more just, more moral way. Again, big M moral, not subjective morality, where the culture will say, well, it's okay to own people, right? Slave owners, we can do a whole video on that, yeah. But like, I don't think slave owners knew that they were doing wrong. I don't think they were just like, well, no, I think they're like, no, these are obviously not people. Look at them, right?
Yeah, probably don't want to go into. I have a lot to say. I'm a big on like morality is like written on somebody's heart. But no, I want to say that.
Would you agree with my not an innocent victim mindset? Or how close on a 1 to 100 scale? What would you say? How accurate is that to what you feel?
80 to 90%.
Yeah.
Because I would still like to use the word deceived, but there's a lot in there that I agreed with. I think I agree with the not a victim of abortion. They could be a victim of something else. I think you have a good point there.
They would be the victim of being deceived by the culture.
Yeah.
But that doesn't just automatically make them innocent of what they have done, right? So I think that would be the common ground where, again, basically what you said is more or less what I would say. But again, I think when you use words like victimhood, these women are victims. I think that's when you get into, you cannot punish a victim, right? That it is immoral to punish victims of crimes.
Yeah.
So we cannot do that, which is why it's very unwise to say women, even though, again, it's a stance that I would hold, women are a victim of the culture, but they're not innocent of their crimes. So we should not use the language, because semantically, it bakes in this idea that women should not be punished, that they have special murder privileges for some reason.
Yeah, I think we have a lot of moral ground. Some of it might be semantics. I know some of it I think is the instinct part that we were talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of it comes from there, where things that we might start differing on, that's okay to differ on. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's probably where you and I shift a little bit, and we're starting to use maybe words that mean a little different things to you than it would to me.
Yeah.
But I would say overall, we probably have a lot of common ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would presume that, right?
Yeah.
I don't think women are stupid, though. I would point that out. That would be one thing that we differ on, is I think women are really smart, actually.
think they're smart,
I think women are really... Obviously not.
Except for
Obviously, you just spent the last hour going through about how dumb they are.
Maybe.
Walking around.
Maybe specifically the woman that taught you.
My mom?
Yeah.
My mom is... Yeah, okay. I'm going to tell her you said that. She doesn't watch these videos, so I have to tell her. Yeah. I call her as I'm driving home. I'm like, hey, Mom, we did another video. And my mom's like, that's nice, honey. That's nice. That is, I didn't even say this, but I was going to put this in my big thing. The amount of times I have called my mom in the past when I get asked a question about abortion, and I'm like, hey, Mom, Ellen, what does an ectopic pregnancy mean? And then she has to explain it to me like I'm a child, and I'm like, okay, all right, I got that. So yeah, that used to happen. It doesn't happen anymore. I'm the expert now.
Now he Googles this.
Huh?
Now you Google this.
No, now I just know.
Oh, okay.
I just have that.
The instinct.
Yeah, exactly. My instincts is just, it's spot on. Hey, look at I'm Elijah with my bird hand.
Okay.
My mangled earlobes, your long hair. Get a haircut, sissy boy.
We're cutting the video.